Welcome, poultry nerds. We are back again with Gina from Rather. I'm going to butcher
Rather.
your name. That's what I thought.
While we're name dropping, let's make sure it's right. Look, I had the privilege to go by there the other day and see some of the stuff that I've heard her talk about. And I'm just going to say, for those listeners that can't see me holding two thumbs up.
Aw, I've seen pictures of her store on her Facebook page. It's cute.
Look, it's really neat. Like when you pull up and it's boom, here it is. And you walk in and you feel like you're in a monster store and it's got everything there. And then she looks like a Hatching Time commercial behind her, which we on here, we understand and support each other's addictions. So we get it. But it was really nice.
Works, man. Hatching Time has done us good. Really good.
Yep. They do. So today we've gone through all of your breeds and we're hitting the last one, I think.
Oh, we haven't talked about the black top Melanin.
Oh, no, we're going to put them on hold. So today we're talking about Splash Ameraucanas. We actually got some requests to talk about this. And that's when I messaged you and I said, hey, we've got requests to talk about these genetics. So first of all, I want to start with the most basic of basic. What's the difference between an Ameraucana and Ameraucana?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So if you see birds advertised as, hey, Ameraucana chicks for sale, they're probably not true Ameraucana. So anyone that breeds true Ameraucana is always going to precede the Ameraucana name with the color variety. There are 10 ATA recognized color varieties for Ameraucanas and a number of project varieties. So anyone that is doing the breed or trying to do the breed any kind of justice is always going to specify what color variety they're working. The chicks that you see at Tractor Supply, Ameraucana spelled with an I, and I've even seen them spell it correctly with the AU. They are not actually Ameraucanas. The Ameraucana, with one exception, the silver Ameraucana, will never have chipmunk-striped tick down. So if you look in a bin or you look in, somebody's breeder and they tell you that they have Ameraucana and they have chipmunk stripes, they are Easter Eggers.
Oh, you just got a whole bunch of people hitting the off switch right there.
Or they had an aha moment. As that was a key thing for me when I first started learning about Ameraucanas. I was like, wait a minute. All of these chicks in the bin at TSC have stripes. And I'm a fool for chipmunk stripes. I love the wild type tick down. But then I looked at the good breeders of Ameraucana and none of those chicks had stripes. I said, what's the difference here? And that was before I really got deep into the color genetics.
So is Splash recognized?
Like the color genetics thing is a rabbit hole that you can get on and not look back.
Yeah. Yeah, Splash is a recognized variety. As of November 2023, they are recognized.
And that was the show that you went to that got you the show bug, didn't it? If I remember correctly.
I actually wasn't able to get away to attend that show. So that was the first show that I was an exhibitor, but I was not in attendance. Lindsay Helton, she was kind enough to take a bird up there for me and show on my behalf. And yeah, I was like, I don't want to miss this again. Yeah.
So now you got the show bug, huh?
I do. And I'm sitting out show season this spring because everything's in breeding pens. I don't really have anything ready. I didn't raise much of anything last fall except for the Iamsmani. So I don't have any bullets. I don't have any cockerels. I am going to be showing Dixon in 2 weeks and I'll take what I've got, but yeah, I don't have much, but I need my fix. So I'm going.
It's a thing.
I'll be there too.
Awesome. I think it's going to be a really good show. Yeah. It's an Americana Breeders Club meet. It's an Americana Alliance meet. And I think it's a meet for many other breed clubs. And we're going to have a bunch of IM Chimani there too.
Awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to the Americana thing. Do you have any idea why the hatchery started calling the Easter Eggers Americanas?
That is a great question.
I don't
really don't know. You've stumped me. Yeah. Hey, I'm not afraid. I don't know something. I'm not going to just make something up. Yeah, it's always irked me, but I've never said, why did I do this? Other than I feel like it's deceitful. Can't think of any other reason. It's like the Rhode Island Red. They're not real Rhode Island Reds. Not in my book. Not at TFC.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Since we're
just
stumped,
because it's red doesn't mean it has that mahogany look.
No.
Since we don't know the answer, do you want to continue with the show or we want to end right here?
Or to talk about.
If we did that, we would never hit a rabbit hole and we would never discover anything.
No.
Can't give
All
up.
right. So, well, let's talk about Splash. So tell us the basis of Splash. Where does it come from?
So think of Splash as a dilution. So when you hear about Splash, you always or often see people say BBS, comes from BBS. And BBS is black, blue, splash. Mm-hmm. And Splash is 2 dilutions of blue on black. So you go black and you add in a dilution chain, like adding creamer to your coffee. I'm going to add a little creamer and it's going to lighten that coffee up. So it's going to lighten the black to blue. And then if a bird gets 2 copies of blue, 1 from each parent, then that's when you get into Splash territory. So you add a double dose of coffee creamer and you get even lighter. But the cool thing about Splash is that the tricky thing about Splash really is that while you want to double up on that blue dilution to get the splash color, you need to try to keep the melanizers that make the blue feathers that the Splash does get pop. So you'll hear people say you can't breed Splash to Splash because when you do that, eventually you're just going to end up with a white bird if you keep doing it several generations. But what's happening when that does happen is that people aren't paying attention to the subtle details in the blue feathers that they did get in that first generation or that second generation. And they are unintentionally breeding out their melanizers that they needed to hold on to while breeding those Splash. So it is possible to have an exclusively Splash flock and work to keep good color.
Interesting. So
No, I couldn't imagine somebody could not keeping good records and letting that happen.
Nobody does that.
I've been known to just,
it's
yeah,
hard.
it is. You get so busy and you mess them up too. Okay. So you're starting with a black bird and then you have a blue bird. Do you have to keep a black or a blue to, I don't know, emphasize the Splash more later, I guess is the word I'm looking for, rejuvenate it?
A lot of people do. And the reason for that is, so on a bluebird, a good blue Americana will have a darker lacing around the edge of the feather. And on a blue, you can clearly see that. You can see whether they have the melanizer or not. And I say the melanizer. Technically, they should have 2 copies of the melanizer, a melanotic gene, and they should also have 2 copies of the pattern gene. So you can look at a blue and you can say, that's a good blue. That bird has good color. On a Splash, it's a little bit more difficult, and it's more difficult on the females than it is on the males. So when people do screw up, or their birds start getting lighter and lighter, it is common practice to go back to the blue so they can pull their melanizers back in. But when you do that, you only pulled one copy of the melanizers back in, let's say you went back to a blue cop. So your offspring is still only going to be heterozygous for the melanizers that you need. You still need to work to get your splash homozygous, which is a key thing in any variety, is that you have homozygosity that will breed true.
Okay. I don't know anything about Splash because I don't breed it and I don't need to know it. So I'm trying to think of questions from a completely ignorant side of the ball game here. So the Splash pattern, is that a distinct pattern, or can those splash splotches come up anywhere on the bird?
It can come up anywhere. The males typically, it's still sexually dimorphic plumage, we call it, and that's when the boys look different than the girls. So the males are still going to have a darker head, shoulders, all the way through the tail. The females are going to be a little bit more evenly colored.
Gotcha.
But the color can pop up anywhere on the body.
Okay. So these melanizers you're talking about, how do you see those?
In my females, I will look at individual feathers, whether I have to lift that feather up, put my hand underneath it, and I'm looking for the lacing that I would be looking for in a blue. You can stand way back off of a blue and you could see all of that lacing. With the Splash, you have to look at feathers individually.
Now, when you're talking about the lacing, what does that look like? Is it like similar to barring? Is the way it follows around? How does it look?
We'll be right back.
Looking to rock some seriously comfy gear? If you love chickens and you're all about that fun style, then Chicken Box has got the perfect t-shirts for you. From quirky designs to classic looks, their shirts are as comfy as us chicken tenders deserve. They even have a subscription service so your coop doesn't get bored. Head over to PoultryNerdsPodcast.com and click on Chicken Box to get your comfy shirts and support the podcast.
It's not true lacings. It's technically, I guess, probably called edging.
Okay.
And there's some argument as to whether it is a truly darker edge on the feather, or if it only appears to be darker when it's laid over another colored feather. And so what I want to do with my Splash, and this is why I say I lift the feather up, lay it in my hand, or I'll pluck the feather. I want to see a definite darker border all the way around the edge of that feather where it has color. And it's just on the edge.
So it's kind of like when you're coloring, a little kid is coloring in the coloring book and then they have the outline of the color.
Yes, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, it's just chickens. Chickens aren't that hard until we start breaking them apart into pieces, which we tend to do.
Well, we are nerds.
Yep. So do the Splash Ameraucanas have blue legs?
They have
slate
legs.
Slate colored legs. Cool. And is that easily kept for color, or is that bleed out too if you don't pay attention?
It's pretty easily kept. So the leg color follows the extension of black locus, the extension of black gene. The Splash they can be built on YAR, which is virgin, or they can be built on the actual extension of black, extended black. Either one works, but that leg color kind of follows that, along with a lack of inhibitor or an inhibitor of dural melanin. A lack of that will give them that darker leg.
Interesting. Okay. And then they have a beat of the comb. Their comb is which kind?
They have a peak comb.
Peak comb. I wanted to call it a beat comb, and I was like, no.
Peak comb.
Comb should be low in the front and low and tight to the head and the back, raised in the middle, 3 nice clean rows of peas. And that goes for any Americana. Pretty much for the slate legs. The Americana standard for almost every colored variety calls for slate legs. The Americana as a breed, as a whole, is described as a medium-sized bird. Medium is the most commonly referenced word in the Americana standard. Your tail is the medium length. Your beak is a medium length. Your saddle is a medium length. Your beard and your mouth, your neck, your back, thighs, your shanks. Everything is medium.
What is medium?
Exactly. It's not
medium fist width, or is it like fist and stick your pinky out to the side? Or are we talking like somewhere between a game fowl and a large fowl? What?
Yeah, all of those things.
So they define it as medium. They don't have, I think, game fowl is like 5 pounds, 2 ounces or something like that. And they have different size ranges. But like, they just, for the Americanas, they just say medium.
The Americana cocks should be 6.5 pounds.
Okay.
Hens should be 5.5.
Okay.
Those are little tiny chickens.
Yeah, those. So I'm guessing those are just for. Would that be considered a dual purpose bird?
They are considered a dual purpose bird. And the Americana, for my line anyway, that I've processed, I had been not disappointed with them as table birds. They grow fairly fast. I'm growing out my Rhode Island Reds and my Americana together. My Rhode Island Reds, they're tall, they're lengthy, they take much, much longer to finish out. My Americana excess cockerels, they finish out pretty good, and they'll have more meat on them than the Reds at the same age. Yeah, and they're not terrible layers at all.
Okay, so we haven't talked about the laying yet.
Forever.
So they lay blue eggs, right?
They do. Yeah.
Is it like a robin's egg blue or like a sky blue, or can you breed for a different blue?
Range of colors that are acceptable for Americana. Some of them range from pretty green to robin's egg blue. The robin's egg blue is pretty rare, but somewhere in the middle is where most of us fall. There are those that select for egg color. I've done that a little bit, but I've got some greener layers in my flock that I'm holding on to because they have some conformation traits that I want to keep. And I'm not ready to cull for egg color just yet. So,
does the blue get lighter with the season or with the age of the hen?
I have not experienced that in my birds. My biggest, bluest layer, she will hold on to her color right to the end of her cycle. I'm not sure what drives that. I know it's really common in like the cream leg bars. I hear that a lot, that they'll start off really blue, and by the time they get down to the end of their cycle, they're very pale. But yeah, I have not experienced that in my Americana.
Does the blue egg taste different than the white egg?
Of course it does.
Yes. It's just like celadon eggs. They taste different.
Egg is an egg, unless it's a duck egg, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I see that question a lot on social media. Fertilized eggs, blue eggs, do they taste different? An egg is an egg. I think I can't tell a difference.
That's one of the Moran claim to fame, is that Moran eggs taste better.
Yeah. I can't tell a difference.
No, I can't either.
And that's, when people go,
right, Carrie?
I was going to say, you can tell a difference when you taste them, when you feed them differently. But I don't know about the eggs.
Difference when you feed them too much fish.
Now you get a little heavy-handed with the fish meal during breeding season, and you accidentally go to eat one of those. Tastes a little fishy.
You'd be sorry. Yes, terrible. I've done it twice, and I don't ever want to do it again.
So you're just keeping splash on splash in the pen. Are you keeping blues and blacks also?
I'm not. I am exclusively Splash.
No, you've stunned me. I just was under the impression that you had to keep a BBS pen.
That's what everyone.
I'm really stunned. So if you've kept let's just say you kept a BBS pen and you have one of each, does that mean you're just going to get a variety in the chicks also when they hatch?
So if you put let's say you've got a black male over blue females, you're going to get 50% hats black, 50% hats blue, because those females are going to have one gene in themselves that they can pass to their chicks 50% of the time. If you put a black over Splash hens, the Splash is going to contribute one blue gene 100% of the time. So 100% of your chicks there will be blue. It'll be one dilution on black. If you have a blue male on Splash hens, you can get blue or Splash. Yeah, you can just keep mixing it up. All of this, you have to have a strategy, ideally, unless you're just multiplying.
You're going to have a plan?
Yeah. Ideally.
I thought it was just a hatching addiction. I have a question.
Okay.
Have you noticed with them having the melanizer gene, do they have some of the same hatchability issues that other breeds with a melanin gene have?
No, the melanizers that they have are common to a lot of breeds.
Right.
There are a lot of different melanizers. There are plumage melanizers. There are skin, tissue, organ, bone melanizers.
Gotcha.
These are pretty much just plumage melanizers. And I should say one melanizer in the melanotic gene. And then the pattern gene, which just organizes the black color. It doesn't organize it.
Okay. I was curious how that worked with them because I don't know a lot about Ameraucanas. I have not gotten into that rabbit hole, but I was curious about the other. I recently got sent down one rabbit hole about a melanizer gene and hatchability issues and trying to figure that out. And I was wondering if all the melanizer genes were tied together or just how different they were. Still in the process of trying to figure all that out.
I think you get into the hatchability issues when you try to stack all of those melanizers.
Okay. That makes sense.
Give me an example of stacking them.
So I think of chicken colored genetics as a pyramid. So if you think about the base of your pyramid, every chicken in the world is going to be either silver or gold based. That's going to be your foundation. So we're talking Splash Ameraucana today. We'll say the Splash Ameraucana should be silver based. And then the next layer of the pyramid up, every chicken in the world has some sort of, or one of the 5 extensions of black that they need to be homozygous for, meaning they inherit a copy from both parents, which is what causes any variety to breed true. Okay. So for the Splash Ameraucana, it's going to either be extended black itself or birchen. So then the third level of the pyramid, we know that we need the melanotic gene. We'll back up. We'll say blue. All right. So we've got this silver-based bird who's going to be black with the extended black allele. Then we're going to add the blue dilution. So we're going to turn it into a bluebird. 2 copies of blue are going to turn it into a Splash. Then I'm going to stack another level on the pyramid and I'm going to add in the melanotic gene, which is going to give a little bit more color to those double diluted feathers. And then I'm going to add another level to the pyramid and I'm going to add the pattern gene, which is going to push some of that extra melanin right to the edge of the feather and give us that lacing or edging. And that's how you build a chicken. Custom.
Okay, so I thought of something that somebody might not realize. So when you take the birds to the shows, it's not going to matter if your bird came from a BBS pen or a true splash pen, because they're just being judged on the phenotype at the shows.
Right.
And the judge doesn't know if it came from a exclusive splash pen versus a mixed pen. Nor does he
Judge don't
care.
know who your daddy is.
No. And you can get good results both ways. Genetically, they can be if you have your genetics, you can breed splash to splash perpetually. But your genetics have to be.
Yeah. Cool. Do these birds come in bantam or only large fowl?
Yes. So every variety of Americana also comes in a bantam size. I don't know I'm not hip on all the bantam news, but for the most part, all the APA accepted large fowl varieties are also ABA accepted. I don't think that Splash is ABA accepted yet. I think just got self-blue bantams accepted last fall. Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Everything's a work in progress. Once
true.
you grasp in the chicken world that everything is a work in progress to some point, then you realize that you just jump on the train and keep on trucking with everybody else.
In some instances, it helps with your anxiety when you're trying to perfect your line. In some instances, it makes it worse. Knowing that it's a work in progress. I guess if other people are having the same problem you are, you don't feel by yourself. But once you've improved the line so much, it's a thing.
Right. So
Splash to splash. I just wanted to, there's one breeder in mind in particular that has been working on proving that you can breed splash to splash successfully, and generation after generation. He has some splash that look almost ermine. He's got his melanizers down.
All right,
That's
so
screen too.
I have a question that probably all of our listeners have been waiting over 20 minutes to find out the answer to.
Oh.
What is the difference between an Americana and an Easter Egger?
The difference? We covered this at the beginning though, right? Or did I cover it in mid?
No, we talked about it. He just wasn't paying attention. But I think now that we've got all the details, now we can go back. So if you have Americanas, regardless of where you got them from, but now we know that they have to have slate legs, they have to have pea combs, and they have to be spelled with the AU in them, and they have to have a color before their name, or they're just Easter Eggers, right?
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to get at. That's like, we talked about different parts of that over the last 20 minutes or whatever, but I wanted people to know, because you do see a lot of people saying they have one thing and they don't. So you need to know that you're looking for a bird that has slate or gray colored legs. You need to know that you're looking for a bird that has a pea comb. Or somebody's trying to tell you they got something that they don't, and it's not worth what they're trying to charge.
And if you're buying chicks, the big tell for me is always these Easter Egger chicks that they're marketing as Americanas with an I, or even marketing as Americana with the correct spelling. There's one single variety of Americana that hatches with the wild type, chipmunk down, and that is the silver Americana. And you will not find a silver Americana through any hatchery. Silver Americana are bred by only a handful of breeders. But you look off in that bin at TSC or Rural King or whatever farm store you go to, and you see all those chipmunk-striped chicks. Just know, now you know, they are not true Ameraucanas.
By line.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to talk about your farm for just a minute. How do you keep your record straight with all these breeds? Do you wing band?
I am a spreadsheets nerd. Yes. We leg band, multiple leg bands if need be. I have wing bands, and I just told Keith last night, I'm like, I'm getting the nerve to use these wing bands this week. I've got birds that I don't have a choice this year. I have to wing band.
So you want me to tell you how to do it?
Tell me.
All right, this is what you do. You go look at your group of birds that you want to wing band, but you're terrified to wing band them. And then you find one that's a cull, all right? And you pick them up, you hold them in one hand and find the little spot between their wing and their body. You feel the tendon on one side of your thumb and their body on the other side, poke it in the middle and snap it together. And when you discover that you freaked out all this time over absolutely nothing because there's not even a drop of blood that comes out and you didn't kill it, it was a cold bird if you accidentally did, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Because this guy right here, the one that will cull a bird because it don't like the chirp, was terrified of killing a bird from wing banding.
Yeah.
And like, I watched, Jennifer even has a YouTube video. I watched her video. I listened to her make fun of me. I listened to her laugh at me and pretty much shame me into it. And I was like, you know what? Bump it. I'm going to go out here. I opened the brooder up and I looked and I was like, I don't really like you. Let's do you first. Boom. Grabbed him up. Chick in one hand, felt for the little spot between the tendon, the wing, and the body. Popped it right through and was like, people can't see me, but my eyes are like the size of a $50 right now. They're like, whoa.
Oh, you squealed like a little girl on Christmas.
I didn't see any blood. And I was so excited that I could hardly get the pliers to clamp the thing together while I was doing all this. And I was like,
I think we're worried about the pliers than anything. I'm like, I fumble with tools. I'm a do-it-yourselfer girl. I love tools. I don't back down from using tools, but I will fumble with them. So
Well, there's two kinds. Did you get the zip? Or did you get the other ones?
You got the Jiffies or the zip?
So if you got the Jiffies, then you have to have them on the tool to do it. We have the zips. They're better.
This is $8.93 Jiffy.
All right, hold it up. Let me see it.
Yeah. Let's get scientific for our listeners where we can see it.
So there's two kinds of wing bands. That's what we're talking about. So I use the zips, and they're a lot just like putting an earring in is all they really are.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you take the triangle, poke it right through there. And then I will say this is weird. So for me, I found it easier to use my hand to bend it down and put the hole over the other piece that you squish through it. I'll do that and get it in place and pinch it with the same hand that I have the chick in. And then just reach over, grab the pliers, pinch it, on to the next. There you go, buddy. Have a good life.
Yeah.
Now,
all this
now
anxiety over talking about it.
Yep. And do you have to be
all this anxiety over talking about it is worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I want to be
You
particular about putting it a certain way up, or is there a preference that you found? You're like, man, I wish I'd put that wing band on the other way.
So are your ears pierced?
They were once.
I know, exactly. Okay, so if you had your earrings in right now, see, I haven't worn them in a long time either. But if you put them in, you know how like the hole kind of attaches to the earring and then you end up having to play with it to loosen it back up again? The same thing with the wing band. So on the breast where I want the number up, so my wing bands have my name on them. They say Bryant's Roost on them. And on the other side has the numbers. And so on the Orpingtons and the Cochins, I have the point going underneath of their wing. And so the blunt end is where you would pick them up so you don't poke yourself. And you have to flip it over to read the numbers. But on the breasts, where I'm wanting to read the numbers quickly because, I'm moving those through for meat, I left them pointy side out so the numbers are up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's what I would want too, so I could read the numbers without trying to turn the bird upside down.
See, like for me,
you don't have to turn it upside down.
Yeah, you don't have to turn it.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that the point will jab you.
Yeah, I put mine in to where on my reds where you can like tuck it up under their wing because they don't even have red ones for them.
And the perfect age to do it is 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up to Keith last night. And it's like, these birds, we've got to get them wing banded before they get much older. We're kind of.
Do you have one right there that needs to be done? We can do it live on the air right now.
Really? If we do that, we're gonna have to put this clip on YouTube.
No, the oldest ones I have room with me are 5 days old.
Yeah, that's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like.
We could keep it splash related,
but it won't splash out. But if you do it when they're in that age range, or roughly around 50 grams, like it's more comfortable when you're holding it because it's not small enough to slide through your fingers.
Yeah.
But it's big enough. It's not too big where you can't hold the bird with one hand. I don't know.
I like the 2 week.
After you do a few of them, you'll be like, I should have been doing this years ago.
But yeah, back to your question, how I keep track of things. I am a spreadsheet nerd, big time. I have a spreadsheet that I built years ago, and I just start a new one every year, make a copy of the old, and transfer over the information. And that spreadsheet is where all of my information lives. It's on Google Sheets. Every bird has a number. Every bird has notes, their hatch date, their parentage. Anything that's ever been done with that bird gets documented. That bird's location, what pen number they're in right now, everything. And then I got pivot tables that I can run data analysis on. And how many birds did I have available for sale and how many birds of this breed I have, and just summarizes all that stuff.
My inner computer nervous. I want to see this daggum spreadsheet because that's, man, she's got chicken records with pivot tables in them. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Pivot tables rock.
We're gonna have to have lunch one day.
I was telling my wife, I was like, hey, I created a spreadsheet today, and she looked at me and I was like, it has if-then statements in it and pivot tables.
Yeah.
And she was like, and you didn't get me to do it for you? I said no. Because normally, like, she's really handy at Excel, and I'll give her some weird crap that I want a sheet to do, and like she doesn't have anything else to do with her time but create a sheet for me and get her to do it for me. But yeah, I was pretty proud of myself. I did it myself.
Nice.
I may actually grow up one day.
Yeah.
All right. We have gone down all the rabbit holes, I think, at this point, don't you? That we need to for today.
We've talked about Ameraucanas, how to identify them. We've talked about their genes, and we've talked about the difference in somebody trying to shaft you and somebody selling you an actual Ameraucana and spelling it correctly, and melanizers. And
look at you throwing
Gina, did we leave anything out?
There's so much more to the Ameraucana than what we talked about today. They're awesome birds. But yeah, the Splash in particular, we pretty well covered it.
Yep. All right. You let us know how the wing banding goes, okay?
I will. It's fixing to happen.
All right.
Tell Keith we want him to video it for us.
Okay.
Yes.
I promise not to.
All right. Thanks for being back again.
Yep.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you.